Hey, what's up everyone? Today we're going to be going over some of my favorite hamstring exercises. I'm a big proponent of being able to improve your hamstrings just because there's so much that comes out of the hamstrings. When you're able to train and have really healthy, strong hamstrings, you're able to decelerate well as accelerate at a very high capacity, which is what's going to make you an overall better athlete. And so we're going to be going over a lot of exercises that hopefully you're able to implement within your home. I would definitely recommend being able to make some of the purchases to be able to incorporate some of this stuff. And the point being is that it's not going to be, you don't need a whole gym just like this in order to make it so you could utilize it. It's going to be all stuff that should be fairly easy to get, fairly accessible equipment options. First thing that we're going to do is look at this exercise. So this is going to be more of a pull. There's a wide variety of different things that you could really do if you have something that just like straps around your ankle, right? So I know right now I have a whole setup here that looks really fancy and specific, but essentially all it is a resistance band that can wrap around your ankle. There's really two main things that go into strengthening your hamstrings, or two areas where your hamstring really acts a lot on. One is going to be extension of the hip, so anything where my leg is pulling back, and then also it's going to be flexion of the knee. Right? And in general, I really recommend being able to do as many exercises when it comes to training the hamstrings from a standing position in comparison to a lying position, laying on your stomach, things like that. I think it's better to, or on your back, I think it's better to be able to be standing when possible, even though I will be going over some exercises from laying on your back. From here, you really have a wide variety of different options that you can do. One of them is just going to be just that standing leg curl, right? And being able to come right back. We can also get the leg here and be able to pull, right? This is really good for sprinting because now I can get that action of being able to pull my foot back underneath. This is going to be able to create extension within my hip. I can also just be here and just work on being able to pull back, right? Just almost like pushing straight back. These all have different variations if you don't have a band like this, but I would say those are three great exercises, three great ways that you can go and improve your hamstring strength in a variety of different ways. One of them is going to be from just that ability to flex the knee, right? And we could even go back further and be able to work on that same thing. One of them is just going to be being able to have that knee bent and be able to go right into hip extension. Another one's going to be from a hip flex position, being able to go through a full amount of hip extension, which is another way to be able to access wider ranges of the hamstring muscle. All right, here's another example. We could go from a variety of different places here. This is going to be like 16 inches. I'm just going to have my foot down here, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to have my head all the way back, and I'm just going to lift up. We can work on being able to hold at this position or just working on being able to lift up, right? Both of these are going to end up being good. We just want to make sure that as we're doing this, we're tucking our hips all the way up underneath and maintaining a good extension within that lower back as we're doing it. And then also, like, the next more advanced option would be having a stability ball like this. There's a variety of sizes here. From this position, we could do that same thing, right, where I'm just working on extension, or I could also work on knee bend and extension simultaneously, right? And then I could also maintain that hip extension and just work on knee flexion. So this is a really, really good thing to be able to do. If you can get a stability ball, you could really do a lot to be able to strengthen your hamstrings, because you could work on being able to maintain that hip extension and get a good amount of activation and recruitment out of those hamstring muscles. All right, that last one, all you really needed was just like a chair or a stability ball. Here we have one where you could just use like a dumbbell, right? This is a 7-pound dumbbell, nothing too much when it comes to your weight. And what I'm just going to do is I'm holding this back behind, and I can go and kind of knee flex and then extend, right? And really work on this. I could also kind of pulse up at the top. I just want to make sure as I'm doing this, I'm not shifting over too much in my hips. I want to keep my hips nice and engaged as I'm lifting and pulsing, right? And this is probably the better option, is being able to work on this pulse. I also don't want to end up extending too much of my back. Keep that back nice and long and just be able to pulse up just like so. Ends up being a good way to be able to improve that hamstring strength in general. All right, so this is another good one when it comes to being able to effectively load the hamstring, right? So what happens is a lot of times too, if you have like a knee injury, right? Some type of ACL, something that you might need to recover from. You end up losing some range of motion within the knee and really be your ability to effectively flex the knee. And this is a good way to be able to load those hamstrings in a way that's going to create an opportunity for you to improve your ability to decelerate. You could add weight with this as well, hold like a dumbbell, something along those lines. Really the best progression for this would be to add more height to it and still be able to effectively be able to decelerate as you're going through, and you could even feel yourself loading through those hamstrings in the back of the leg as you're going through that exercise, and it's great for ankle range of motion too. All right, so we've done a hamstring exercise with a band, we've done it with a light dumbbell, we've done it with a stability ball like a chair, couch. We also did it with just now like another kind of box or bench or bed or something like that. This is going to be if you have a barbell, how you can get a good hamstring exercise. So this is going to be here. This is going to be really hamstring and glute. We got that knee bent. We're just going to come down, come right back up. Obviously, this wouldn't be super challenging weight-wise, but if you can progress, we can do that with one leg, being able to come all the way up, all the way down. This becomes a little bit more challenging when you do that. Okay, and then also if you have dumbbells, like heavier dumbbells, right? So the last time we did it with 7s. You wouldn't be able to have very much difficulty there if you did this with a 7. This is a 50-pound dumbbell. For reference, I would say, you could probably do this with I could probably do this with like 70, something like that pretty easily. You can see really doing that same type of thing, working on being able to load through the hip, drop that knee, drive through that heel. I don't want to be lifting that heel as I'm coming up. I'm trying to get my hips all the way up, and I can feel that really well within the hamstring. All right, last but not least, we have the Nordic hamstring curl. So, you can see with this, I have weight on top of a small box. There's a lot of ways you can do this. You can do this with a barbell as well. You just have to put a lot of weight on there and just have something like what we had with those hip thrusts to be able to make it so you're pushing your lower leg into to get the stability. There's also a lot of different things available on like Amazon online where you could just put something underneath your door and be able to utilize it that way. So there's definitely options to be able to do this. And then even when you're doing it, I would say you have both the opportunity to go like down, use your arms to be able to push back up, and really working on being able to build that concentric side. And then we could also work a little bit more on the eccentric side, which is going to be more of being able to come down and control that and being able to come right back up from there. So this is a great exercise, one of the best things to really isolate the hamstrings in order to improve your strength back there, both from that eccentric lengthening, which is going to be really a lot with that deceleration, as well as the concentric contraction, which is going to be a lot in just like the power that you need to be able to jump, sprint, things like that. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, go ahead and click that thumbs up, subscribe, and if you have any questions, comments, recommendations, you can leave those down below. Closing this out a little bit differently than I normally do, just because, that video is a little bit different than what I typically do. Thought I would close it up a little bit different. I didn't want to redo like setting up everything with the angles. The hamstrings, you have to be able to train those on a consistent basis, whether you are a sprinter, athlete that is trying to get better at really anything, baseball, softball, football, track and field, whatever. I talked about how the hamstrings are important when it comes to jumping and sprinting, like running faster, deceleration. Those types of things are great to be able to improve your hamstring strength as well. So you do want to do this. You can supplement it. I do it all the time where I'll do Nordic hamstrings and then do sprints, or do any type of hamstring exercise and do jumps and deceleration, cutting, work on starts. All those things are going to be great to be able to help you in being able to improve not only the strength of the hamstring, but also the application of the strength that you're developing to make it so you could really get the specific improvement that you want to. So I hope this ended up being a beneficial video for you. If it did, click that thumbs up down below, subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, comments, recommendations, leave those down below. We'll talk to you guys soon.